What's up guys? In this video I'm gonna be breaking down everything I've learned about the two business models that you can choose to scale your vacation rentals company, Airbnb arbitrage and co-hosting. And if you stick around to the end of this video, I'm gonna give you my personal recommendation on which is the best option to scale your Airbnb business in 2024. And for those who don't know me, I'm Milan, the founder and CEO of HappyHost, a vacation rentals management company that runs 163 Airbnbs. And I have made more than $2.5 million on Airbnb in the last 12 months. And the reason why I decided to make this video is basically because if you're a beginner, you might be wondering which one is better to start, co-hosting or arbitrage, which one is a better vehicle. And if you're more advanced on the Airbnb or the vacation rentals game, you probably have done both and you're curious about which one is better to keep going and scale your vacation rental business in the long term. Okay guys, the age-old debate, arbitrage versus co-hosting, which one is better? I first want to start with some semantics and get it out of the way. I've seen that in the US and Canada, they call arbitrage what in UK and Europe they usually call rent to rent. And the other term that it's used, and all of these guys are synonyms. It's subleasing, which I've seen a lot they use in Dubai and the UAE. So basically for this video is gonna be arbitrage, subleasing, and rent to rent are gonna be synonyms. So first up, definitions. Let's start with the basics. What's Airbnb arbitrage? Technically is when you rent a long-term property, usually it's a period of 12 months, sometimes it's up to 2 to 3 years, and then you grab this property and you put it on Airbnb and or other short-term OTAs, online travel agencies. So and make a profit, hopefully. That's basically arbitrage. And we're gonna start talking about the pros and benefits about arbitrage, and then we're gonna go with the cons of this model. So let's start with the three main benefits of Airbnb arbitrage. The three main benefits are, number one, it's fast. You only need to do a simple process that it's usually you can find in YouTube, like several tutorials for free. You just need to find a property that's located in a decent place for Airbnb. You can estimate the profits on, you can use AirDNA, which is a software that's designed to do forecasting of the revenue that you're gonna generate on Airbnb. But you can also just use the app Airbnb and see how much is the average daily rate of the property, see how many days this property has booked on the calendar, and you can do an estimation of how much revenue this property is making. And then you have to compare prices on the long-term rental market. And hopefully the gap between the revenue that you can make with this property on Airbnb minus the cost of the long-term lease, hopefully this gap is as big as humanly possible. That's how you make a profit on Airbnb arbitrage. So the process is not rocket science. All the tutorials are out there for free, and I think you can start fast. Second advantage of arbitrage, in my opinion, is that the knowledge gap, it's low. You don't need much technical experience. You don't need like a hospitality background. The property is gonna be yours. So basically you have a lot of room for mistake, meaning that if you screw up, you're only gonna have to report to yourself, unlike management or co-hosting, where you are responsible for that property and you have to respond to the property owners. You don't need much knowledge or expertise. And the third advantage of arbitrage, in my opinion, is that it's relatively cheap to start. You just need to save enough for good high quality furniture, the the payments in advance, usually the landlords ask for a couple of months in advance. In some countries like the UAE, they ask like 12 up to 12 months, but usually it's like 2-3 months in advance, and after that you're good to go. It's a relatively cheap model. And now we're gonna move on into like the cons or the bad sides, that the dark side of Airbnb arbitrage. In my opinion, the first one is that the saturation, especially with social media nowadays. Airbnb arbitrage by far is the most popular and mainstream model. There's a lot of influencers, gurus that are promoting this model, which is it's also very practical and easy to start as a beginner. But the downside of this is that it's getting extremely popular. Like most of the ads that you see nowadays on Meta, on Facebook, on Instagram, on the courses and everything, it's everything aimed towards arbitrage. So the marketing that you see, it's getting this model more and more popular. The downside of this is that the landlords are already like getting to know about this, and they take advantage of the people trying to do this, and they charge more and more for the rents. And unluckily or sadly, like this makes the profits of the people doing Airbnb arbitrage smaller and smaller. The second the second downside of arbitrage, in my opinion, would be it's pretty hard to scale, or at least it's harder to scale than management or co-hosting. For each new unit, you need to convince a new landlord. Also, you have like to deal with a lease renovations. There's always something breaking down, like some landlords decide to sell, or they change the management of the building and they don't allow Airbnb anymore. So you end up with all these leases and all this furniture, and then you have to move it and find new leases. And also you have to pile up and buy all this furniture, and you have to keep moving it from side to side, which makes it more harder to scale than co-hosting and management, in my opinion. Of course, you see, especially in social media, you see some examples of people that have made it into the big leagues of arbitrage, and they have so many units. But I mean, most of the big operators in arbitrage, I personally know them, and these guys are exceptional. They do a really good job. They're outliers pretty much, and they have years on the industry, and they have dialed everything. They do everything like a Swiss clock, like the revenue management, housekeeping management, everything. It's really like a top 1% elite service that they do. So for 99% of the people, scaling a big arbitrage operation is going to be extremely hard. Extremely hard. So yeah. Third factor that's a downside of Airbnb arbitrage is the risk. The arbitrage model has a lot higher risk and more risk than co-hosting and management, in my opinion. Mainly because you depend on landlords. If landlords decide to sell, terminate the contracts early for whatever reason, or even increase the price drastically, basically those are things that can really put you out of business in the early stage. And if they don't put you out of business, they can dramatically impact your profits if you have to terminate a contract earlier than expected, especially because you need several months to recover all the investment that you do in furniture. And the fourth downside of arbitrage, that's maybe it's just part of the second one, the harder to scale, is you just need more capital to grow. You need to reinvest a big part of your profits into furniture and upfront rent payment in order to keep growing and keep adding more units to your portfolio. Now, moving on into Airbnb co-hosting or management, as I like to call it. They also call it revenue share, by the way. Starting with the basics, definitions, semantics, Airbnb management or vacation rentals management or co-hosting is basically when you grab one property that's not yours and you charge a percentage of whatever that property makes, usually around 20%, but it can go all the way up to 35%. I've seen in some markets. You basically take care of everything that it's needed to be done in order to operate it in the short-term rentals market, meaning Airbnb, Booking.com, Expedia, VRBO, etc. You take care of the cleanings, you take care of the revenue management, guest communication, maintenance, you name it, everything. And you charge 20%. Usually it's 20% of the daily rate, the average daily rate, the night of stay, plus a cleaning fee, which is something that a lot of people are not aware of. And the cleaning fee ends up being a big part of your revenue as a vacation rentals manager. So, good points, advantages of management. First of all, I would say that safety. You don't have any, or at least you have way less fixed cost compared to arbitrage. You don't have fixed rent to pay every month. So if the property doesn't make much, if it's low season and doesn't make much income, you're not tied up with any, you don't have any obligation of fixed cost to pay. So in simple words, you can be profitable even in low season. Second advantage of the management model, in my opinion, would be it's less capital intensive, meaning that you don't need to buy the furniture. The property owner is responsible for paying for the furniture, decoration, all the bills, etc., etc. So basically, you're gonna need to encourage in other like marketing cost, but the fat cost, the big cost is usually furniture, advanced rent payment, and bills, and all of that is responsibility of the homeowner. Third advantage of the co-hosting model is it's more easy to scale long term, in my opinion, especially if you have a solid marketing funnel, which is one of the weakest points that I've seen in my experience. The vast majority of vacation rentals management companies out there. And by a marketing funnel, I mean like not just a pretty landing page, but good Facebook and Instagram ads that drive the right traffic towards your landing page, and on the landing page has the right anatomy in order to make people opt in and fill out a form with the information about their property, and then you have like the right sales process to contact these homeowners and sign them into your vacation rentals management company. So if you have that in place, scalability, in my opinion, it's way simpler and easier than arbitrage. And now, moving on into the downside of management. First one, I would say it requires a higher level or degree of expertise or know-how. And mainly because to start, the properties are not going to be yours. So ethically, and I think logically, you need to know the basics and you need to know what you're doing if you're going to be managing properties of third-party people. So you need to have a certain level of degree of expertise. And also, you're going to have to touch and operate in new areas of a business that arbitrage don't necessarily have. For example, you need marketing and sales to acquire these new homeowners, which in arbitrage is done in a different way. Plus, you're gonna need to dive deep into like advanced customer service that you're gonna use with your host. Basically, in the beginning, you don't need it and I don't recommend it, but every advanced or big enough vacation rentals management company requires a department of host experience or a customer success manager exclusively dedicated to the host. So you not only onboard them correctly, but you also retain them for the long term and maximize their LTV, lifetime value. The second downside or dark side of co-hosting or Airbnb management, 100% it has to be that in the beginning, profits are slower or it's less profitable, meaning that average, the amount of profits that you make per unit are going to be smaller compared with arbitrage. But that can be a downside in the beginning for a lot of people that they want, of course, they want their cash flow fast and they want to have a returns fast. But if you're willing to think long term, and if you're willing to think, I'm thinking like 12 months or more, you can easily offset that with just like volume, with scaling faster, which is the advantage of management. So yeah, that would be the pros and cons of each business model. So wrapping up, guys, the age-old question: which one is the winner, co-hosting or arbitrage? Well, to be honest, it depends on your personality type, your risk tolerance, how many savings do you have, what's your initial level of expertise in the Airbnb industry. But I promise you guys that I'm gonna give you an answer, which one is better in 2024. And the best answer that I can come up with, it would be like, if you're an absolute beginner, I would definitely recommend starting with arbitrage. As a matter of fact, to all my students, I always recommend starting your first unit with arbitrage, because you're gonna learn the basics, you have more room of error, and the reality is that in the beginning, you have a lot to learn about so many different things, and you will get better, but it takes time. Yeah, it's better to fuck up in your own property than with someone else, and ethically and also for your reputation. But if you're thinking about going big, you really want to go big, you're a long-term thinker, and you want to build an Airbnb empire, 100% I would recommend building a vacation rentals management business or a co-hosting business, mainly because all the reasons that I mentioned before. And I think that co-hosting is the winner in scalability, 100%. So at the end of the day, it will depend on you. What do you want? But yeah, what I do, of course, I'm a little bit biased because I've done both models, and I still have some few units on arbitrage, but 98% of the units that I manage personally, they are under management, and that's my expertise. But I can tell you that I've tried both models, and this one for me, it's 100% superior management or costing. So yeah, that's it for today's video, guys. I hope I added a lot of value, and I hope if you're a beginner, I can hopefully give you some insight on which one model to start. And if you're already more advanced, I can hopefully give you insight on like how to proceed and which path to take to keep scaling your Airbnb business to the moon. And if you have any other questions regarding this topic or any other vacation rentals related topic, hit me up on Instagram. And yeah, catch you later. Bye.